¿Cuántos aquí hablan inglés? Okay.
We have a translator.
We have a translator, of course. All right, in English. As you know, Between Two Fires is a medieval horror story about redemption and about an apocalypse that begins to take place in 1348. It first came out in 2012. It has had a very long journey. It was not well received at first. But with time and with good fortune, it found its audience. And I now have the pleasure to have it translated into many, many languages. And I'm very happy to find it receiving a warm welcome here in Spain. It has been, before this year, it had been almost 30 years since I had been to Spain. And that is far too long for such a friendly and welcoming and beautiful country with such an exquisite language. I really do enjoy Spanish. It was my third language. I started learning it a long time ago after my studies in French, which was my major in college. And I never lived anywhere Spanish speaking, so I never reached a very high level in conversation. But I have been able to mostly read in Spanish, if it's not too complex, for a long time. But I think I'm ready now to go to a different level with it, because it's just so beautiful. I actually first decided to start learning it because of Pablo Neruda. I had a good friend who was Chileno, and he asked me if I knew Neruda, and I said no. And he went and got his old book with a dissolved spine. He said, "Here, this man is so great. He can write about love. He can write about work, the dignity of labor. You're going to love this book." I got laid so many times with this book. So yeah, Spanish. And I am very, very, very glad to be here now. And yeah, and I can't wait to answer your questions. So does anybody have a question for me?
In English or
Whichever you wish.
do you know why it wasn't that well received at the beginning, the book? Because, I mean, I thought it was great.
And I was very proud of it. I expected it to do well. The first book did pretty well. But I think the problem was the title is perfect for the book once you have read it, once you know what it's about. I wouldn't change the title. But the old cover of the book didn't tell you much about it. It was vague. There were two figures fighting. There was a little bit of fire. What's it about? Nobody knew. And I was desconocido. So I just think nobody picked it up. It got reviewed well the very few times it was reviewed. People on Goodreads liked it very much, but very few readers and very few sales. And the publishing industry now is brutal. So it affected my career when my second book stumbled.
I used to be a Spanish teacher a few years ago,
Okay.
and I can confidently say that your Spanish is quite good. Like, it's really, really good. I hear you speak, and you have a really good Spanish and conversational Spanish. Like, you speak really well. So.
Very nice, thank you. Eres generosa.
Then I really enjoyed the book. I think it's an amazing book. I really love medieval horror. And I wanted to ask you, what were your main sources of inspiration for the book? Like, I don't know, movies or songs or other type of books?
Yeah.
Like, which were like the main?
Yeah. Well, probably the single most important inspiration would have been Stephen King's The Stand, which I read as a very young man. And that always stuck with me. I loved the idea of a great plague coming. It fascinated and terrified me. I mean, as we have learned, pandemics are scary. Even when the death rate is 1%, not 80%. I think 1% kicked our ass well enough. So yeah, So that was an inspiration. But of course, I've always really loved medieval history and medieval art, particularly like wood cuttings, particularly scenes on churches. You know, like reliefs. Like there's a cathedral in Orvieto. I haven't been there, but I've seen the images of it. I love all the passion that went into these images of hell and devils and monsters. It's like people maybe felt in their lives that they were suppressed, oppressed. But then these artists get a chisel in their hand and they get to work on the cathedral, and now they get to make these grotesques, you know, or maybe they get to be in a mystery play as an amateur actor and they get to run around and play the devil. You remember there's a character in there who was happy about that. So yeah, Stephen King's The Stand, medieval art, medieval history, these are my inspirations. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Yes?
¿Cuál crees que podría haber sido la escena que más te ha costado escribir?
Ah, sí.
Wow, pregunta fácil.
Era la de la Virgen en piedra, con la bebé o el bebé. A mí me gustaba siempre la idea de las estatuas vivientes, sí, ok, vivientes. La idea de que, porque cuando era joven había las películas viejas de Sinbad, con Sinbad con Ray Harryhausen, con sus modelos animados, y como una estatua de Shiva, por ejemplo, con 6 brazos y espadas luchando contra pequeños hombres. Sí. Pero para mí, la idea de la blasfemia de animar las estatuas sagradas en esta manera me parecía espantoso. Pues sí. Gracias por la pregunta. ¿Alguien más? Sí. Eres un muy bien lanzador de hachas.
A mí me gusta mucho la novela, sobre todo por la ambientación.
Más despacio.
La novela por la ambientación del periodo.
Sí.
El siglo XIV es conocido como el siglo calamitoso.
Sí.
La muerte corría por doquier. La gente se creía que era el fin del mundo realmente.
Evidentemente, sí.
Y la verdad que en la novela que lo capta, genial. Me ha gustado mucho.
Gracias.
¿De dónde te viene? Porque se nota mucho en la novela que te gusta el periodo. ¿De dónde te viene el gusto por la Edad Media?
Yo diría que quería disculpa, quasi. Diría que yo quería escribir de la época de la plaga, y pues específicamente en 1348, y pues buscaba después de eso de conocer más de la época. Y el libro más importante para mí en los investigar. Investigación era la de Barbara Tuchman, A Distant Mirror. Sí. Fue veramente un tesoro de información y de pasión. Ella era un gran escritor. Cambio en inglés. there's even an homage, omagio. There's an homage to the book when I talk about Tomas's wife and how she was. I believe she was a relative of Angaran Dukusi, who is the central figure of the book. I wanted to put a little nod in there to it, and I also nodded to her in the acknowledgments. But I also had other help in being able to present the time period. Some of it very practical, because I spent a long time on the Renaissance Festival circuit in the United States. I made friends with people who did historical things, like jousters. So knowing jousters, I got to be around horses so I could observe them or specifically ask them for stories. One of them told me about their horse doing a side-to-side dance when their favorite food was there, and I included that detail. So I guess the answer is that I drew from a great many sources, but the most important one was a distant mirror. Thank you. ¿Alguien más? Sí.
Yo te quería preguntar sobre Thomas. Creo que en muchos libros que tratan temas parecidos al tuyo, se usa el protagonista como ese faro de luz en ese mundo donde y que va irradiando luz por todos lados. Thomas es lo que yo puedo calificar como que eres mejor que tu peor momento.
Sí.
Lo mejor se puede decir.
Es verdad.
¿Cómo fue la idea de meter un personaje como Thomas en vez de meter un héroe caballero,
Sí.
la armadura?
Sí.
¿Cómo fue esa idea?
Creo que es más fácil identificar con una persona imperfecta. Tomás es muy imperfecta.
Sí.
Perfecto. Sí, para mí es más fácil escribir una persona realística. Para mí era muy más difícil de escribir el personaje de Delfín, porque Delfín era un poquito divino, la mitad divina. Para mí era importante de recordar que ella era una niña. Era importante de no olvidar su niñez. Tenía que jugar, tenía que imaginar cosas, tenía que estar silly.
Sí, fantorrón, hacer tonto.
¿Cómo se dice?
Hacer tonto.
Hacer tonto. Así de tonto de vez en cuando. Y por ejemplo, tenía una amiga que tenía una hija de exactamente esta edad cuando estaba escribiendo, y la miraba un poquito jugando. Con 11 años yo olvidé, yo no sabía, yo la vi, how me say in French, to collect.
Sí,
Cogiendo. Ya la vi coger las pequeñas piedras como semillas en su camiseta y hacer cosas con ellos. Y yo no sabía que una chica de 11 años ya jugaba así, ¿sí? Pues Tomás, in English, you look a little like Tomás, which is kind of cool. But yeah. Okay, I guess that's it. Yeah.
So, Between Two Fires is your second book, right?
Yes.
So you have written more after Between Two Fires?
Yes.
And okay, so in Spanish we don't have them yet, but
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay.
So, and the other books are of the same theme, like medieval, or not at all?
No. All different.
Okay.
All different. Somebody told me that I was Protean. Proteo?
Sí, proteico.
And Protego, and I had to look it up. I didn't know what that meant, but it was true. Every book I write is different from all the others. The two most similar I have written so far are The Black Tongue Thief and its sequel, which I've just finished, which is coming out soon. So that was a first for me, is writing books that are actually quite similar. But no, there was Between Two Fires, and first there was Los del Otro Lado, Those Across the River, which is coming out soon in Spanish. That's it, right, with us. Between Two Fires. After Between Two Fires, my third book was called La Casa del Necromante. And it's set in 2012, and it's about a modern-day wizard who's also an alcoholic and is in recovery. And his sort of trials. He has a house in the woods that he has hidden with spells because a long time ago he went to the Soviet Union. He's in his 50s, but he looks in his 30s because he's vain. He uses magic. And he was captured by Baba Yaga. And he managed to escape from her and steal some of her things. So he's living in this house that is booby-trapped with magical spells, living quietly, hoping never to be found. That is his greatest hope. But of course, the action of the novel is that he is found. So that is the necromancer's house. Then there is the fourth book was called The Lesser Dead, a vampire novel. It's out in Spanish as Muertos de Segundo, I think it is, with another publisher. And it's about a tribe of vampires living under the subways in New York City in the 1970s. And what happens when a group of children of unknown origin, very young children of unknown origin, show up. And these are very killy children who don't seem to know what they're doing. The fifth book is called The Suicide Motor Club, also a vampire novel, but this is about vampires a little earlier in the 1960s who like cars, and they use cars to hunt, and they'll cause crashes in the middle of the night on lonely highways. And and they don't bite, they'll use the wreck itself to cut them and take their blood, so that when the police arrive, they find a bled out crash victim. But there's a woman whose family is killed by them, her husband and her son, and nobody believes what she says she saw. She enters a convent, and then one day a man shows up and says, "What you told the police was true. Would you like, I believe that as you are now, as a holy vessel, I believe you are dangerous to them. Would you like to help find them?" Yeah. And then that was the last in the horror series. Then I switched to fantasy, and that's where you get Ladrón de Lengua Negra, and that's where you get The Daughter's War, both about goblins and, all of this. So there you are. Those are the books.
Oh, and are you now working something, like are you writing now?
I am working on a project I can't really talk too much about, but it is not a book. And I am also, but I do also have 2 books, and I don't know which direction I'm going to go first. Either I'm going to write the last book in the Black Tongue series and finish the series, or I'm also very passionate about doing another medieval horror novel. This one would be set in Italy during the time of the condottieri, the mercenary captains. So yeah. Great question. Thank you. Okay.
Has dicho que tu primer libro, Entre los fuegos, que no tuvo mucho éxito al salir.
Sí.
Creo que mucha gente de la conversación o conoce a alguien que quiere escribir o quieren escribir ellos. ¿Qué consejo darías a alguien que empieza a escribir y que en este mundo editorial que es tan fiero no tenga éxito su primer libro o no pueda conseguir que le compre su primer libro para tal? ¿Qué le dirías?
It's very easy for me to say, as somebody who is now having success, to write what you love and what you're passionate about. But it certainly was the right path for me, because my editor at the time suggested the book might not be successful. He suggested a history book might not do well. But I said I very much wanted to write it, and to his undying credit, he supported me. The book tanked my horror career, and it was not until I began to write the fantasy novels that I was discovered. So I would say, write what you're passionate about writing. It sounds like a cliche, but it's the absolute truth, because if you try to chase a trend or what you think people want, that always reads as insincere. You may have success with it. There are frankly bad books out there that are doing well, and some of those may have been calibrated to do well. But at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and feel good about what you do. And if this book had never really taken off, or if the fantasy novels had only kind of crept along, I would still be writing novels. I would just be also still working at Renaissance festivals or something also.
I have a question and a wild guess. Because you said you're writing to something now that is not a book. Maybe it's a script?
Maybe.
And then my question is, have you tried to read the book in Spanish?
Not yet.
Turn it.
Right now I've got two Spanish books lined up, and I've just bought a third. But I've started at 2 books, and one of them is Basterrica's Cadáver Exquisito, and the other one is one by a Catalan writer named Isabel del Rio, and it's called Lo que no veo en el bosque, and it seems pretty good. It's got a good concept, and I just bought a book today called El Ejército Ciego, which looks very, very dark and very cool and historical. But yeah, but no, I have not yet read that one.
Volviendo a Delphi,
Sí,
me parece un personaje muy complejo y muy difícil de escribir.
sí.
Quiero saber ese proceso, porque no tiene que haber sido fácil. He sufrido muchísimo con ese personaje y en pensar cómo podías equilibrarlo en general. O sea, me ha explotado la cabeza.
Sí. It was very hard to write her realistically, as I was discussing before. But I always valued her contributions to things, because she became the book's moral compass, or the party's moral compass, and I liked the fact that she was vulnerable and had to be protected, but also that she was powerful and that her power was growing as the story progressed. And another thing I wanted to do, I wanted to defy a very tired trope. You always see in these kinds of stories, you always see innocence equated with power. Innocence and sacrifice of a young female equals power. But I didn't really want to talk about, bodily processes, at the risk of seeming prurient. But I wanted to have the moment where she has her first menstrual cycle included in there, because I wanted to explore the idea that actually her growing womanhood was the source of her power rather than something that ended it. Yes.
¿Cuál dirías, como has escrito muchos géneros, cuál dirías que es tu favorito para leer y para escribir?
Sí. Uno bueno. Es verdad, no me importa. En verdad, sí, bueno lo leo. Prefiero siempre el terror o fantasía como géneros, pero leo science fiction.
Ciencia ficción. Sí. Ciencia ficción, sí.
Ciencia ficción. O literatura mainstream, de vez en cuando, historia, todos esos. Pero creo que continuaré a escribir en o fantasía o terror o una mezcla por el futuro que veo. Sí. Gracias. Anybody else?
Kind of a question, but I don't know, just also to know your opinion. I think now is like a really great time, or a really great moment for fantasy and like horror fantasy.
Yes.
I also believe it's partly because, well, I don't know if you like video games. I actually really like video games.
Which ones do you like best?
Now,
Thank you.
thing is, right now I'm really into the dark souls, the dark souls books. Yeah, no, they are really. I know it's the whole thing. Yeah. But it's true. That's why also I say I think it's a really good moment, because I think that like the video games and the Dark Souls video games, the Bloodborne, I think they have opened this like the theme of the medieval horror type of more. So I think it has become more popular in favor of these video games. I also like when the Metrovania, the whole platform Metro. I don't know. I play it like
Yeah.
I really like playing.
I have heard many times people say that my book was like Dark Souls, and I played Dark Souls after hearing that, and because I stay away from video games because I have an addictive personality, and I'm afraid I will not write if I get a PlayStation 5. So and I didn't get very far because I'm not very good. But I see why people say that. I definitely get it. I love how creepy it is, how imaginative the monsters are. No, I do vibe with that. I like that. Yeah.
A mí lo que me gusta mucho en particular es que buena parte más que de fantasía lo veo de búsqueda histórica, como incluso comparada de 5 Juana de Arco.
Ah, sí.
De alguna manera es una normalización súper posible de lo que podría haber sido una historia relatada en esa época. Y cómo se cruza un poco la frontera de realmente podías haber contado esta historia en esa época y la gente se lo hubiera creído. Sí. Es lo que más me fascina de todo esto. Porque hay mucha historia de horror. Por ejemplo, en Entre dos fuegos hay escenas de terror. O sea, es terrorífico. Y para ellos era una realidad, ¿no? O sea, creo que es un buen momento para el mirar hacia libros históricos más que incluso a fantasía, porque ahí es donde realmente viene el World War o el Dark Souls, ¿no? Hay mucha historia de folclore medieval increíble. Pequeños detalles como las reliquias y cosas así. Con reliquias totalmente cierto, o sea, me gusta mucho. El friquismo histórico accurate.
Gracias.
Y mi pregunta es, si tuvieras un top 3 de personajes reales, ¿cuál sería?
My three favorite characters in
like historic.
Oh, real historic. Okay. Sigo. Estoy siguiendo. That's interesting. Christopher Marlowe, the playwright and poet in England, who was a contemporary of Shakespeare. He was sort of the Jim Morrison of his day, because he was young and famous and rich and loved or hated passionately, and he died young. He died at 29, and he had already been the most beloved figure on the English stage. Shakespeare copied him when Shakespeare started. Titus Andronicus is Shakespeare trying to out Marlowe. And another thing, he had a secret life. One wasn't so secret. We're pretty sure he was homosexual, but there wasn't shame around it in the way that there has been in other times. So he wrote a very gay play called Edward II about a gay king who ended up dying because he wouldn't give up his lover. But the real secret life he was leading was that he was a spy. And they know that he was a spy because he was away in the Low Countries where the English and the Spanish were fighting each other. And he almost wasn't passed in college. He was getting a master's, and they were not going to pass him because he'd been away too much. And the Privy Council to the Queen wrote a letter to Cambridge saying, "We know where Mr. Marlowe has been, and we are satisfied with him." So they had to pass him. Yeah. So that would be number one. I am getting I'm very interested in finding out more about, oh my God, and I'm blanking on her name right now, the young German girl with the white rose, who, Sophia, I can't say she's a favorite historical figure because I don't know much about her yet, but I am fascinated and I want to find out more. But she's Sophia Schall. She died because she was a young German who stood up to the Nazi Party in Germany, and she had the Society of the White Rose, and they finally captured her and they executed her, and she was only 21 or 22 years old, but she never betrayed her comrade. She never gave up, and she died for it, and she was willing to. Yeah, so I'm very interested in her. And I guess I would say the American revolutionary John Brown, who led a revolt, a violent revolt against slavery because he felt morally compelled to do so, and died for it. So, yeah, those. What's that?
A lot of honor in your character.
Yeah, I may be autistic.
Maybe this is the love.
Yes. And if Sophia Schall doesn't count because I don't know much about her, I'll say Cicero, who died trying to defend the Republic. I'm seeing a theme. You're right. It's true.
Quería hablarte de la escena de Tomás contra el letrado del río.
Ah, sí.
Creo que
¡Puto mano!
no, nos ha pasado a todos que hemos visto en ese combate
Sí.
terror cósmico.
Sí.
Sí, terror cósmico.
Sí.
Muy a lo estilo de Lovecraft.
Sí.
Y mi pregunta es,
Lo veo.
¿te has planteado hacer algún libro de horror cósmico?
No lo he planificado como libro de horror cósmico, pero confieso que es verdaderamente, porque tenemos ángeles espantosos,
Sí.
espantosos, y un Dios ausente, y la idea que es posible que los demonios van a destrozar las murallas del cielo, arrancar las almas de los justos, terrifiante, ¿sí? Sí. Y la criatura en el río con su mano al término de la cola. La idea, la imagen que tenía es que la mano es la parte del cuerpo humano más divino. Y para mí era un género de sacrilegio, porque los demonios pongan un mano así, así con un tal criatura. Pues tiene razón, es horror cósmico.
Sí, sí.